This review is for Friday the 23rd of March. Composite today had a little bit of an up candle day. However, it was a break candle and all the action was below all of yesterday's action. The high for the day did come up to yesterday's low, which was interesting, but that was the top for the day, as you can see right there. So a break candle of a type on the action currently, but we really just have the bottom of this region here as a channel right now. This is the movement, the place where it wants to live higher if it's going to try to get back up there tomorrow. These regions are distinct, as you can see now. This double top here provided a very clear boundary on the move above 3,000 back here. Now you've got this region here that broke above back here, couldn't stay above, and has now created another channel and referenced it very significantly yesterday and today. So this is a new defined region here above here, and this is the middle region, and this would be a region breaking below where you might expect some real downside movement. You can see these well-defined regions through here. So do we go back above this, challenge these highs tomorrow? This was a big breakdown yesterday afternoon after making brand new highs up at 3090, and now we solidly are down here, seemingly to have rejected that for the time being. The SPX today was also a break candle down. It was a gap down. This was the open here in the actual action here at 1395. So really this was not a drop. This was a gap down with a small red candle near doji. Not really a doji. It really was a down candle, and you can see that fail roll over today. Midday couldn't get back up to the open, which is right through here with this first initial candle down. There's that open, and it did have a recovery in the end of the day after a double bottom off that level. We talked about that being defined, this double bottom defining the top of that region. So staying in here, you can see what we've got going on. We're above the midway point of this region after a nice movement back up toward the end of the day, but it did give a little bit back. That could go on higher, break on out up into this region tomorrow morning if the market wants to get strong. Then again, it can break down some more, come on down further. So market here. This was an up day in the movement of tomorrow, so you've got various lines you can start to draw now and evaluate things with this little break candle. This very steep line from today through the peak yesterday, probably not going to be fully operative tomorrow. If it were to have problems against that line, you'd have a big breakdown very quickly. I think we'll just be on the other side of that tomorrow. That it's likely not to be a particularly important line. It's a little too steep for an immediate radical reversal. Then again, if you do see it being paid attention to, you'll be below 3050 quite quickly. Below this 3050 region, we are talking about that region where you're falling back into potential for a good pullback. So below 3050 on the composite, that's what we have right here. Below 3050, you're down in this region here. So this is that operative trend line, basically right like that, through that peak of that day. Come below that, you could fall below 3050 and be down quickly for a little retracement. Broadcom, main story of Broadcom here was break candle open on this uptrend line here that had been starting to fan out. Talked about how yesterday this uptrend line had been broken by this candle, but it came back above it to close on it. Prior day, it opened below it, came down, gave a wick, went up and closed on it again after having touched it to the upside. That action was constrained by that upper line, and then you could needed to be drawing those trend lines to fan out to see where things might be. This one off of that tail from yesterday, opened below it, and went up to it, or actually opened on it, went up slightly and touched it, and then gave a real nice movement down throughout the day, and then brought some of it back and closed below it, as you can see with Broadcom here. But having opened basically on it, touching it up at this point in time very early, that collapsed very quickly, as you can see through this candle right here. 2 minutes collapsed down to new lows for the day as soon as it touched that up again, and then bounced around a bit, finally gave it up and went. So Broadcom could be doing more of that tomorrow. Could have some more downside and fulfill on that, give a retracement, pull back. Then again, it could gain some strength off of this new lower downtrend line. It's a nice high open, or opens on this. It's needing to decide about 38. 38 is going to be the key for this. And this trend line here, whether we live below it, hit 37.50, or the 20, or come down to 37, even if it's a very big day and a big give back. This uptrend line and 38 are going to be pretty much coincident tomorrow for tomorrow's candle, and you can get a nice rise back up to 38.50 or higher to touch this on the bottom. So if it's not constrained between these two lines, it's probably going to be falling. I don't think it, unless there's something else that really goes on, it would have to open or be way up here at 39 very early to be maintaining above this line. So the chances are it will be constrained between these two lines tomorrow for most of its action. If it breaks below this line, it could fall out down to 37.50. So that's Broadcom. 37.50 is right there, not too far down. And you can see from 38 down to 37.50, that's not a stretch at all to get down there. All the way down to 37 even is not that big a stretch if it's problematic and has real issues. That's not that far to fall if it has a bad open, let's say. It could fall even that far and not be ridiculous. That's the kind of distance you got on this particular day, this day, this day. So could do that. SanDisk. Here's the wedge that yesterday it broke out of, came back down after a gap open. The gap was a fall, it was a gap down, but the open had a drop and it came back. Small green candle right there at 51 being the high on the day. So 51 clearly is going to be important for X, or not X, SanDisk. Right there, 51, right toward the end of the day. So up after falling early, choppy movement back up throughout the day, barely hitting 51 and falling. So it could move back above 51 and have some movement upside to test some of these highs. There's 51.40. 51, probably 80 or 90, whatever that is. 51.80 looks like, or so. Then again, it could be falling back down to some of these trend lines here to touch some of these and break this one up here, break this uptrend line here. You could come on down quite a ways, 50.40, or a little bit lower. SanDisk. That's SanDisk. Here's X. X's story very simple. Much like Broadcom, you start getting a fan out for the possible reversal to the downside. Here we go. Draw this trend line. Standard story. Start getting these tails. Start living below these trend lines that begin to be defined by the move out on these tails. You get an open below that, comes up, touches it, falls the rest of the day. Pretty straightforward story for X. You see it all happen very quickly. Open below, falls down a bit, comes up, touches it on the longer term trend line that is going through this bottom here. So if we're talking the middle of this day here, that level's right there, middle of the day. Yeah, that level. That's what's going on. Anyway, touches it at that level and pulls on down. But did that pretty early, and then you had some dithering here while it tried to figure it out, and it was the beginning of rollover, as you can see here on the 5-day. Here's the break level right at 30.60. Even having come down to 30.40, it did come out all the way back up to hit that break level once again. It did manage to get all the way back up there. Here it is. There's that break level at 3060. That in there. Try that again. Okay, there's that break level. Here was the wedging. Fell, came back up to it, and then went. So several of these in here. Anyway, it had made its decision with the break, confirmed this movement here, and then this breakdown confirmed this failure to close the gap, confirmed the gap down, and here you go. Pretty straightforward story for X on that analysis. And we came down, not surprisingly, if we can come to it here, get that sumbitch in there. There we go. Okay, so that goes right through that middle of that candle. We broke this uptrend line all the way down early in the day, went below 30, stayed weak below 30, right through that, and came on further down. So now you have a bottom line like this to pay attention to for tomorrow's action, and an upper line here, and an accelerated line there. All those lines to pay attention to. Yay! But anyway, we've had a nice pullback for X. This is a very strong uptrend, movement back up to significant levels. We could get another movement up tomorrow if the market's going to be strong. X is going to be going up farther into the future. It could start it immediately. It may take a little while to do it. I would think you would at least have a double bottom here to some degree, or at least on this uptrend line. If it's going to be really strong tomorrow, I think you'll at least see that trend line defined by this movement here that does go through those two tails, and that's valid there. So maybe if it's up above that, it could come down to it, pass it, and go up, reverse itself upside, perhaps. If it's not going to get really bad, and come back for a full 50% retracement, and come back down here to 28. If it does, you probably hit 28 either tomorrow or Monday for a 50% retracement. If this is going to be weak, I think it would have to come down to that area, probably. Netflix. Talked about yesterday about Netflix breaking above 120 and where it could go. It did break above 120, went very nicely up to basically 123.5, 124. Where'd this go here? Did that very quickly. Right there, break opening. Look at that, opening right on 120. Yep, right on 120, goes up to 123.50, and then starts doing the give back throughout the day. So, that happened very quickly. Talked about that. Once it did happen, then all bets are kind of off to the upside. It's fulfilled its potential. On what it's filled its reasonable expectation for an entire day's candle. What it does from then on, can just have to be evaluated as it goes with various trend lines, etc. And you can see, there's structure and places to maybe take it down on the give back. There's double bottoms to reverse up the other direction. Etc. So there's plays in there as things are developing. So just whatever. So Netflix tomorrow might have some good plays again. It seems to be moving fairly well. This did try to pull out toward the end of the day. So if that's going to pull out and start moving back upside, you probably hit 120 early tomorrow. Maybe come up here to 121 or these tops here to challenge them. Perhaps if we're going to be rolling out upward. You do have this top here to serve as support, and that's where it bounced off today. 118 essentially, just slightly below 118. Bounced off of that, recovered by the end of the day. So if we can maintain 118, stay above that, maybe have a double bottom early in the morning, you very well could have a nice reversal back upward. SPX here, after having a double bottom here further in the day, jammed back up. Maybe Netflix produces a double bottom off of 118 early in the morning and then jams back up, hits 120, get a nice $2 rise if you're ready for that double bottom. Potential there. Then again, you do have this uptrend line that it will be breaking tomorrow without it looks as if, let's change the time scale here, daily, put it here at 5 months, let's say, see what we have. Okay, okay, so we got this and we got that, close to it, something like that. Draw these accurate if I could here, please. There we go. Okay, so without an open, basically at 120 again, you've got an open on or below this line, it looks like. So that would seem to mean downside if you don't get an open at 120 or higher tomorrow. So that's something to pay close attention to for Netflix. And anything else we'll talk about? Didn't really look at these yet. Take a quick look. Apple might be rolling over here a bit. You know, one wonders. But it closed below 600, which is quite interesting. Fall from 600 down to 590 with no problem, maybe down to 580, depending. This is a pullback that is happened much more quickly than any of these. You had this big, massive red candle pullback, and it started to go higher. That's what you had here. That's what you had here. But you can see that this is a pattern of weakness that is not in evidence for these movements up. So something different is going on here. Maybe tomorrow this wedge down from 600 or so does, or just above it perhaps with this downtrend line, does produce a red candle down to 590, get 10 points on Apple if you catch it right. Amazon staying up here, opening low, ending at this level, making 3 tails up here. That's pretty strong, actually. That's interesting looking. One would have thought that would have fallen down. I'd say you draw this line upward, and falling below that, you take it down for a retracement, and staying strong above this level here of 192.40 or whatever this is, the close here, 192.50, and especially breaking out above this here, breaking out above 195, that could have a real big candle upward tomorrow. This looks pretty strong. So you've got this for the downside, be below this line, below 192.50, and above this downtrend here of these wick tops. Moving above that rather would be nice strength to the upside. Amazon might have a big candle tomorrow because of that. Terrible candle for CAT, 106 here. This might be considered somewhat of a double bottom. This could shoot up big tomorrow, or kind of just rest around here at 106. Could definitely be one of those two things. I think this is pretty bad here for CAT. If it gaps way down below this, honestly, I would expect movement upward to close the gap. That would seem to be, with the gap there too much too fast. I mean, you could very well have a large upward candle movement to try to close that gap back up to 106. That's a possible scenario for CAT tomorrow. But this is a terrible break. We talked about that a few days ago, just how bad and ugly this break was for CAT here, and it has just continued down. So what else? Best Buy looks like it might be getting toppy. Big uptrend line. The bottom of it was right on it today. Breaking below, living below this trend line could be significant. Definitely, that's awfully accelerated. So, Best Buy might be worth paying attention to, just because that trend line is so accelerated, and did get a little higher today. Where was this high? Okay, moved up all the way into this region of candles. So, kind of a double movement into that region with a nice rejection like this. Gap closure may be assumed and fulfilled, and start moving below this uptrend line, this greatly accelerated trend line, get a big candle back down, at least for part of the day. A big motion back down here, I would say, is a real possibility. What else? Break on FedEx. So this could be quite interesting, the fallout from this. with a double top on the prior day. Nice big wick and give back, fall back below 96. Can't maintain 94 today. Big movement on FedEx. Let's see how clean it was, but might be worth looking at tomorrow. Pretty choppy for a lot of the movement, but it was moving on a fairly big scale. There might have been some way to take advantage of that. Take a look here. Oops. FedEx. Okay, yeah, lots of wicks and hitches back and forth. So I don't know. Might be good tomorrow, might not. But that should be enough options to play around with and think about. V looks like it gained a little bit of strength today. That's pretty good, actually. Did it break this downtrend line? It did. It went right past it. If there's any strength in the market tomorrow, V could have a really outstanding candle to the upside, popping off of 116 here and the 20 with this kind of candle breaking that downtrend line. This could be a big candle up tomorrow for V. So that's something to think about and look at. And V has been trading pretty nicely intraday. That's all. Good luck trading tomorrow.